our professors at Bastyr said, if you ask a person what's wrong, they'll tell you. But if you really listen, they'll also tell you how to fix it.
What do you mean?
So this was an example. I had a patient coming in and she had leg pain, right? And she's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, it started when I started running, da 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 da." But as I was watching her, I was like, "She looks like she is about to fall apart, you know?"
Oh,
So I just sort of sat there with her and I was like, "How are you doing?" And then she did. She cried and she said that actually she was caring for her mother and she had been running and then her mother had passed away and like this
oh,
pain was kind of associated with this whole thing. And so I was like, "Wow, she literally never talked about the leg pain again after the first visit." That wasn't really what she needed, right?
interesting.
But it also went away the second she acknowledged it. Like like after the first treatment, she didn't have the leg pain, but then we dove deep into all this stuff that was more important, really.
Right.
But
So,
it's all
so she may have like ostensibly came in for her leg pain, but it
right,
was really maybe about grief or
right,
whatever was happening. So you
right.
actually got to the actual pain itself, which is a physical, anatomical thing to it. But then you spent the remaining sessions with working with the emotional piece.
Right. And we use all of these systems within that. So I am a big fan of the balanced method that creates these circuits, but then
Right.
I choose my points based on whatever I feel like, whatever tradition or theory. So I use a lot of five element points, or
Wow.
sometimes I'll do a pure five element treatment, but I really like creating these circuits and then also talking like, okay, your neck is hurting. That's the throat chakra. Is there something you need to communicate? And so
Right.
with this particular patient, we found out how many levels of physical pain she was experiencing were really related to deeper stuff. And,
Ah,
and it's that self awareness. And now she's just a more empowered human that
yeah.
understands her body better. And that's the real goal.
I love how her our body speaks to us, right? So if you don't treat your grief for a while, all of a sudden your knee hurts, right? Your
Right.
body's like, I'm gonna get you
Right.
someplace.
It's very persistent, right?
Whether you want it or not. I got into a car accident, right? That may have been a result of not paying attention and all those different things, or just bad luck, right?
But
That has
yeah,
not. There's not like
happen.
a an emotional component to it
Right.
necessarily. I just got into a car accident,
Right.
so those kinds of things. Do they, because you got that physical accident, does it then translate to something that actually creates an emotional imbalance, even though it may not have
Well,
started off that way?
pain is emotional, right? The more you're in pain, especially chronic pain, I mean, it
Right.
takes a toll, right, on all of our psyche and it's really hard. I guess some people can do it, but it's really hard to be in pain all the time
Right.
and not have some emotion, anger, frustration, sadness, despair, worry, fear. I mean, all of this
Right.
stuff. So even though chicken and egg, right, you might not have had the emotional imbalance before the accident, you probably had something come up for you
Right.
afterwards.
I see. So, like, I actually have a neck injury that you're talking about. It's like my neck injury is like C1, C2, right? I feel it here, and I
Mhm.
can't necessarily move my body. So, actually, the Chinese corresponding point in these things is what? So, what would that be emotionally
Oh,
and
that's a good
organ
question.
wise?
So I like to integrate different systems. So the chakra system to me is more relevant in that case because
Yeah.
that's the communication chakra, but it's also pretty close to the third eye line too.
Yes.
So I would say that there could be some work. I mean, I know communication is a lot of your life,
Right.
so it could even be rest, right? Uh,
Uh,
and movement. A lot of it's just asking, finding
right.
out if there is something there. And again, anatomically mapping. The cool thing about the anatomical mapping is it doesn't really matter if it's physical, mental, or emotional. It,
Hmm. Can you actually hold up that drawing of the anatomical mapping so we can see for the back of the neck? So I can see what, and I can tell you whether in real life, like, oh, yes, I have these problems. So the back of the neck would be equivalent to, okay, got it. So it's probably equivalent to my hands, actually, which I've been having problems with
yeah.
my wrists, and I've been having problems with my ankles. Ah!
So the interesting thing there too is so if this is let's go this way.
Yeah,
This is the head, right?
right.
So you're kind of right in here, right? Like this would
Yes,
be the side of your head, and then this is the back.
yes. Okay,
So the more into the smushy part, the more you're actually into the occiput or the back of the head, and the
yes.
more you're into the wrist itself, now you're into the neck. But if I were you, giving a little pressure right into that region,
Right near
and
my pinky. Yeah, actually, when I'm pressing it now, it's sore.
Right.
So I've
That's
been
not
having, yeah, and I've been having problems with my ankle too.
right.
So,
It's oh, well, you
and
should
it's
come
the
in.
opposite, it's the opposite side because I have it on the right, but I'm having problems with my left ankle and my
Right.
left hand. And it's actually manifesting here in
In your
my forearm, but when I'm pressed here, I can definitely feel it. Isn't that fascinating? So it all relates, right? And what's
it's
the emotion related to it?
well, that so there's an emotion related to each of the channels.
Right.
So the neck channel, if that's along the urinary bladder channel, because it's
Yes.
hard for me to see exactly where you're pointing.
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, okay, so it's more to the side. So the gallbladder channel is here, and then the urinary bladder channel is here. So they're about an inch apart. So you
Yes.
probably have something going on with both.
Yes.
So gallbladder could
Oh,
be like decision making,
yes.
anger, irritability, frustration, and depression on the opposite side. That can be the
Right.
emotions that come with the wood of the
Oh,
gallbladder. And then the urinary bladder can be fear, um, yeah, wisdom on
yeah.
the other end.
Ah, interesting. So all those things, even just treating my neck, also is treating those emotional components that may have been triggered off by a car accident, but then as a result of that being chronic, because it was in my early 20s that I had that car accident.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's been probably living with whatever construct that physical injury took and affected the whole system.
well, and that's what's interesting about the energy of the body. We really are accumulation of our whole life, right?
Right,
And so we all need some healing. I mean, that's
right.
just the reality.
Yeah.